everyone hear me? Welcome to all Davey's Chinas. Today is about Davey. We're celebrating him and his life. And Nick and G and the family have asked me just to stand here and help facilitate things. Since knowing the family, I've done 4 weddings. This is my first funeral, so there could be a movie coming out soon about the Greek, but it's a privilege, honestly, to stand and just help conduct things. Yeah, so we're going to get on with speeches. It's nothing long, nothing boring. A lot of stories of Davey and just edifying him and just his life that he lived. He lived a big life, and he was a great man. There was never ever any dishonesty with Davey, never any judgment. He loved people unconditionally, and he was just a great man. And I was just thinking about his life and there's parts of his family, and there's just a story I recall of one of his many grandchildren, how the families work. We all know it's an interesting dynamic. But one of his many grandchildren picked up a lucky bean seed while on holiday with Grandpa Bean. And she planted that seed at her home, and this tree has now grown into a magnificent big tree. And when I look at the tree, I just see leaves and shade, and I see us all as the leaves from Davey's life. I see Davey as the trunk, the stem. I just see all those that love Davey and just the hurt and the sadness that they're going through, that it's our job now to be the canopy to bring rest to those that come and sit underneath the tree. And just relish in what your dad has put out there, what your dad has attracted in friends and family. And yeah, I just want to thank you again, and Nick's going to get into it. After Nick and Gareth have spoken, then Sam's going to say a few words, and yeah, we'll just roll through pretty casually, and then obviously snacks are here. If you want a dop, get your China to buy you one, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon once we've finished. Cool.
Thanks, Cos. Okay, I'm old now, I'm going to get glasses on. Not as old as Davey, though. David Michael Sawyers. Davey. Dad. Bean. Fucking legend. He was a man of integrity, passion, love and laughter. And he didn't mind a drink or two, that's for sure. A father, a grandfather, a husband, a stepfather, a father-in-law, a friend to many, and somebody that many would look up to. He lived his life to the fullest. He never looked back. He burned the candle on both ends, as most of you would know. Davey was a great sportsman, starting in high school as the vice captain of the first team rugby at DHS, drum major of the band, and a prefect. He continued to play rugby in the Air Force and be a very good boxer. He loved fishing, and this became his passion. He lived the rest of his life fishing whenever he could, up and down the KZN coast and Mozambique, which he loved. He was an avid golfer too. He was a very successful jeweler after he took over the family business. G and I admired him to the nth degree. He shaped us to who we are today. And me, the man I am today. Davey was an exceptional grandfather to all his grandkids, attending many concerts, swimming galas, and prize givings. In his latter years, he showed resilience and compassion, and he fought all the way to the end, and he never complained. And I'm going to finish with a great story, which I was going to write about, but I'm just going to say it. Davey was at an illegal casino in Florida Road, and he got chucked out. And he proceeded to get Sheila to drive him back, and pulled out his gun and shot a few rounds just to know that he was there. And I don't know how long after, but the cops knocked at the door, rang the doorbell, and he said, I'm not sure, and he hid under the bed. Yeah, that was the life of Davey, and that's a story. I remember him to be the biggest person ever that I could ever imagine. Love Davey. Cheers. I think
G?
no, Sambo first, and then I think Chris and Jeff want to stand up after Sambo.
I got the audio that you gave me.
I thought I had a bit of extra space. But I must just tell you, Davey went to many funerals, and I honestly didn't think there were going to be so many people still alive here today. So I'm not really good at talking, so I'm going to have to just read this. But thank you all for coming. Davey, I just want to thank you for coming into our life. You took Sparks, Em, and I on as your own children. You included us in incredible holidays. You encouraged us to strive for nothing but the best. You celebrated every milestone in our lives as if you were our own dad. There was never a time... I just need to get rid of the water in my eyes. There was never a time that I didn't feel completely loved and adored by you. You took on my husband as a new son, and you didn't believe. Oh God. You took on my husband as a new son, and you didn't believe for 1 second in your life that my children, Max, Alvin, and you were not your own blood. You even became my dad's best friend and shared many fishing weekends with him included. You guided me through business decisions. You taught me to fight for what I wanted and stand strong in whatever it is that I believed in. You backed me 100% in everything I did. And even though we had some big fights, you did, you stood by my side. You will forever be remembered for your generosity, kindness, your time, our holidays, your constant help with my kids, teaching Max to fish and play golf, teaching Elt the love of fine jewelry, which is a problem, sharing your crispy white, your chicken curry, and tonight I will drink a Johnny Blue for you. Cheers for making my life such fun. And I've got one from my son, which is not very good. Dear Grandpa, thank you for being the best granddad a boy could ask for. You have taught me so many things in my life, such as fishing and playing pool, but most importantly, to cherish every moment with those you love most. I've never forgotten our trip to the Kruger, or the times you teach me from school and insist on buying me a pizza. I am fortunate to have grown up surrounded by your love and care. Although I won't see you, I know you will forever live in my heart and my mind. I love you so much and thank you for everything.
So there's just a few that I've just been asked to read. So this is from Shields. Davey, thank you for the many wonderful years we shared together. You were a soul who loved sport, friends, adventure, music, laughter, drinking, and loads of fun where possible. All of this at 100 miles an hour. Life is a gift and you embraced it fully, taking your family and friends along for the ride, and we thank you and celebrate you for living and sharing an exciting, meaningful life. We shared so many incredible holidays, fishing trips, parties and dinners, card nights with friends, and the expedition of the Eco Challenge, and now you're off on the next great journey. Go well, Davey, with all my love. And then from M, Sam and Sparky's sister, dearest Davey, I hear these words and it reminds me how much we were loved, admired and respected by so many people, and how missed you will be every single day. Thank you for the life you gave us, for all the love and luck you shared with us, throwing your arms and homes and life open to us all. Thank you for the happiness and hope you instilled in us. In a crazy, weird and wonderful family, you were always there with a kind word and a very heavy paw. We will never forget the man that always made sure you had your tent up first before tending to his own, who always had an extra seat at the Sunday lunch table, who always put his hands up first for friends or family member that needed a truck and an extra pair of hands. We will never forget the generous gentleman who always gave the best Powell diamonds and deals to boyfriends, husbands and fathers out there, and never let on about any upcoming engagement. We will never forget you, Davey. We will carry your twinkly blue eyes in our hearts forever. Keep me a seat at your table up there. I can't wait to see you again. Share a glass of something chilled and hear all your stories until we meet again. I love you, Emma.
Sure.
Kim Parks, going to come up and say a few words?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Rambo, a name given to me by Solly 30 years ago and carried through by these three friends, Bob, Nob and the Bean, who I've known for over 40 years. We are here to give Davey a mighty send-off, as only he would want it. I know Jeff will elaborate on some of Davey's escapades, of which there were many, and I was part of a lot of them. The one at the casino was just the tip of an iceberg. I will fill you in on Davey the person and what he meant to us. Davey was an extremely kind and caring man and would help either materialistically or spiritually. Davey engaged very easily with people, often offering sound practical advice. Davey loved his family, especially Sheila, Nick and Gareth. He supported Nick and Gareth through their school days to Thursday. Just looking around the room this afternoon, I cannot help but say you are all very kind people, and believe me, a great trait to have. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. I was lucky enough to spend a lot of time fishing and golfing with Davey. These were easy. Watching rugby with Davey was another story, often threatening to beat the ref up and all the players. It was on these trips that Davey would share meaningful chats which are stored in my memory. Davey was a well-respected jeweler, and I think between Chris and myself kept him in business buying engagement rings. When I visited Davey a week ago, he was still strong enough to have a brief conversation with me and kept on asking when Jeff and Chris were bringing the fish, which sadly never happened. Guys, let's remember Dave is a kind, caring and loving man who was loved by all of us, who will be sadly missed by all of us. This is the serious part about Davey, and I'm sure that Jeff will regale you with some of the more funny events of Davey's life. Thanks, guys and ladies.
Jeff and Chris, do you want to come up?
Forbidden knowledge. There's no fast books nowadays. The good, the bad. Good, bad.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Fobb, for those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting. I've been a friend of Davey's for over 50 years, and as you can imagine, I've got a few anecdotes from that period of time. My difficulty was working out which stories I could tell and which I couldn't tell. Don't worry, Sheila, I won't tell the story of the talking dildo. Davey loved three things. He loved women, he loved rugby, and he loved fishing, in no particular order. So let me give you one quick anecdote from each of those experiences. Firstly, Davey and women. I can remember he had difficulties with one of his earlier wives, and she had locked him out of the bedroom. Okay. And knowing Dave, he's not the sort of person that you lock out of the bedroom. So he arrived and he was going to break the door down. Now, Davey didn't have a lot of weight, as you remember. So he had to make up with speed. So he came down the passage, full tilt, hit the door went down, Davey was on the door, and he shot across the bedroom carpet. Then the door hit the wall, Davey hit the wall and out, and he went to hospital and got a few stitches. But that was how he got the name the Silver Surfer. Much admired by his colleagues. Right, that was women. Let's talk about rugby. Okay. Going to, as Rambo said, going to rugby with Sawyers was an experience. It wasn't easy. Okay. We used to go to rugby, and Chris had organised tickets for us. We used to go and drink at the Keg in Florida Road first. So we met at the Keg. Firstly, I must explain Davey's outfit. He used to wear these long, baggy, khaki things with those thin little legs of his sticking out, a pair of leather shoes, and a big hat to protect his freckles. Okay. So we would start drinking at the Keg, and then eventually we made our way into the stand, and the game would be on. Okay. Every time there was a scrum, Davey was into the pub, Spook and Diesel. Okay. Back again, okay. Then he started to abuse the ref. Have you that? And not only was he emotionally involved, but he got the whole stand going. He would jump up on his chair and say, "Do you see that? And can you believe it?" He had the whole stand against the ref. Okay. Anyhow, the game was over, and thank God we won. We got in the lift, and we were going down the lift door opened, and in came the ref. I thought, what's going to happen now? He looked at Dave, Dave looked at him, and their arms around one another. He was an old school buddy. I couldn't believe that. Anyhow, we decided just to have a last little drop after the game, so we went back to the Keg and carried on drinking Spook and Diesel, you see. Then Davey and Chris decided to go upstairs. You remember there used to be a gambling casino upstairs, which wasn't quite legal then, but it was operating. Anyway, so they shoot up to the casino, and I said, "Guys, I know when I've had enough, I'm going home," which I did. Anyhow, Chris and Dave go up to the casino, and you know, when Dave gets a bit pissed, he gets very loud, you see. So he was shouting and carrying on. So they sent the bouncer over to have a word with him. And that was a mistake, because Dave jumped up on his chair and hit the bouncer, so the fight was on. The next thing is they had Davey by the scruff of his khaki shorts and his shirt, and then threw him down the stairs into Florida Road, you see. But that's not the end of it, because Dave didn't live far away. So he dashes home, he gets poor Sheila involved. Again, she was having a quiet evening. You're going to be the driver. So Sheila is now the driver of the Mercedes-Benz. Davey's got a 6-shooter. And they go down Florida Road. Davey's got the window open. As they pass the casino, he opens fire. Bang, 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 bang. Opens 6 shots. The person was still in the casino, said it was amazing. There was bullets and glass found everywhere. Everybody was under the tables and all the rest of it. So I'm at home safely away from this lot, but I get a phone call from Sheila. It says, we've got a small problem here. Davey's been shooting at the casino, and the police are here. So I said, well, where's Davey? No, he's under the bed. And I said, where's the gun? It's under the bed. So I'll give you some serious legal advice. I said, you know what? Stay under the bed. Anyhow, the matter ended there because they didn't want to make a whole big scene about it, because they weren't quite legal, and so forth. And then I think the last story from the last facet that Dave enjoyed was fishing. It's not quite fishing, but anyway, we shared a ski boat. It was Dave, Chris, and myself, and on the side of the boat was proudly emblazoned. You know, we normally have the skipper's name. It had fob, knob, and the beam on the side of the ski boat. Anyway, so we fished out of Umhlanga for a few years. And then Mervyn, our very concerned safety officer, came over to Dave and said, Dave, I don't think you've got a skipper's license. You can't drive the boat unless you've got a skipper's license. So Dave said, okay, fine. Saturday morning at Granny's Pool. We used to have a rule in the club. You had to do a high tide launch and a low tide launch to show your proficiency. So there we were Saturday on the boat, which was called Running Bear. Fob, knob, and the bean. Chris was probably still in bed. And I remember I had a girlfriend, and Davey was now fully in charge of the boat. He saw what he thought was a gap, pushed the hammers down, the boat shot out. We hit about a 10-foot foamy. Dave went this way, I went that way, and the girlfriend was now in charge of the boat. Going flat stick. But luckily it was going in circles. I'm in the water shouting, pull the throttles back, pull the throttles back. Okay. Eventually she pulled the throttles back, and I managed to swim over, jump on board, and took control of the boat again. Now, where's Davey? See, Davey also got shot. I have a look. Davey's had an asthma attack. And all the lifeys are doing this stuff. They finished that, they got to this stage now. Oh, darling. So I put the boat back on the beach, get out the boat, find out how's Davey. Now he's fine. All he's concerned about is that they would give him mouth to mouth. I'm fine. So it's just a short recollection of some of the adventures that you had when you hung about with Dave. He was a wonderful mate, and we had a lot of fun together. And let's have a drink there. Cheers. Cheers.
Most of the stories have been told. What I really enjoyed about Davey was he was very kind when I went in to buy a new rig, and he gave me unlimited credit. It was nice. I used to give him whatever it was at the end of every month, and then after a couple of years he'd say, okay, when you get him engaged, you've still got credit with me. But as I said, one lovely story with Davey. He was a great sportsman. He was a wonderful hooker, and when I was at DHS, I always looked up to Dave. He was hooker and he played for the first team. And then we went to Old Boys and he played hooker. And when he used to throw, he used to... Anyway, after the game, one of our opposition, I knew the Latia who was playing it, he says, I can't work it out. We sort of thought 2 of these would be to the front, 3 of those to the back. It was so erratic. He says, what was that called? Shame, I must tell you that I used to visit Davey every couple of weeks. I used to take a bottle of wine. I phone Shields, what does he drink? Wine, so I take him some nice chilled wine, and I take him some sushi. And in the end, he used to have a little sip of wine like this and 2 pieces of sushi. So when I saw him last, I said, Davey, you're not going to see Santa coming down the chimney, so you go and fish wherever you go. That's all I can say. All the other stories have been good.
Cool. Oh, Gareth wants to say something.
Shout out to people online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your boys, your family.
The boys are watching. Ethan, Owen, love you. Everyone else, Ems, and I'm sure there's a lot more people watching. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, the class of 61 in Robertson, thank you for sharing everything yesterday with me and doing that full tribute to him. Yeah, Davey, to Davey.
To Davey. Cheers. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks very much. On behalf of the family again and friends, thanks for coming. I think I would have loved to have seen the look on Davey's face when he got to wherever he was going, because 2 of his favorite words would have left him in a quandary, because he would have got there and he would have figured out that Jesus Christ wasn't Chinese. So on that, please go have a drink, share some stories, and yeah, thanks for coming out. Remember Davey. Yeah.